Yeah, you're right. I mean, if we've talked about that before, if you're good enough to cover up, maybe you're good enough to create, but this woman seemed very credible. Lisa, on the issue of causation, it seems to me the jury's left with really one of three choices. Either it did happen at the hands of Johnny Depp, as Amber Heard has testified. It did not happen. It was her making it up or doing it to herself. Or there's some third cause that there's been zero evidence of. What's the jury, what are they left with here in the absence of more direct testimony?
I would say the third thing would probably be the mutual combatants. Who initiated a fight? Who started it? Who was responsible? Was Johnny protecting himself because of her aggression? We also have that. The makeup artist, I think, did do a great job, but I don't know if you heard her say, she says, I also created bruises when I worked with special effects, and that was an interesting statement to make. But she did say she arrived and she had already seen that. Another good piece to pull from that is, did she see her actually wash her face prior to the application? So could these bruises have been put on prior to? And finally, Michael, we had heard in testimony that Amber had a habit of picking her lips and making them bleed on a regular basis. So we've got people who are testifying to saying that that was a habit that she had, picking her lips. So we have a lot of holes to poke through in those theories.
Yeah, I'm telling you, the causation issue here is just, it's still a little vague. I think that it's important that this witness, Lisa, has been able to say that she saw kind of the spiraling out of control of the relationship, but, join the club. So many people have. Any more we can get from this witness?
Just the statistic of 80% of her visits where she was there to teach her and coach her with her acting, she was crying. So these were legitimate tears. So I think that that's a positive thing, showing the demise of the relationship in the time period that she was coaching. And to what Mitra said, yes, it's the first thing that I hung my hat on. She cannot cry on command. So when we did see her on the stand, I think all of the people watching had a hard time believing that she was authentically distraught, because there weren't tears and her face contorted in a way that seemed very unnatural.
Yeah, I've seen it compared to others that we've seen testify with kind of odd reactions that didn't really seem to be genuine. I don't know, maybe that's something for her to work on in the acting department. Let's take a break, folks. When we come back, we will rejoin what's happening there in Fairfax, Virginia. As long as they are live in the Depp Heard trial, we will be there. Be right back. Lisa, it's clear that, especially with regard to this last story out of Australia, that she heard something so different from Amber Heard than we've heard from other witnesses. It's so glaringly different that it really reflects badly on Amber Heard, because the consistent testimony has been it was a fight involving Amber throwing a bottle, not Johnny cutting himself somehow. So what do you make of that?
Everybody just trying to protect their own personal interests. That's what it comes down to. Michael, if I can just go to the other part that we just disclosed that I think was important, when she was just talking about Amber prior to Christy Sexton getting the deposition, was when she revealed to her that she was penetrated with a bottle. But prior to that, she just talked about Amber being hit with a bottle in another incident, and then the penetration was later. So the fact that she never told her that in the beginning, I mean, you could say maybe she was embarrassed, she didn't want to talk about it, or she was at the point now where she knew that her surrounding posse was going to be deposed. So why don't I add this now so that she can say later on, yes, Amber did tell me the story about being penetrated with a liquor bottle. So I think that's an important fact that came out with the questioning regarding when did you find out about the penetration, and it was so close to the deposition. I think that was hurtful for her case.
I think that's a great point, and in the closing arguments to come, you would think they would reinforce that kind of convenient revelation to somebody who is about to have their deposition taken. Also, Lisa, I think it's interesting that the timing on a lot of these stories, I guess, some of them are outrageous. This penetration with the bottle, I know there's an argument, I guess, that, hey, it was something I didn't want to talk about. It was very private, very hurtful, very personal. On the other hand, this is not a person who's shy. This is a performer. This is somebody who enjoys getting attention, and I don't know. It could cut both ways. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, when you have a situation when somebody has the hitting of one another, the whole mutual combatants, the fact that she had been bullying and antagonizing, we have those pieces of it showing that it was kind of mutual. So, how fearful was she really of Johnny when she was antagonistic a lot of times?
Yeah, exactly. I think nobody would dispute this was a match made in hell. The question is there a civil claim here for defamation? Sometimes we lose track of that. So we know we're getting closer to the end of this case, Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard versus Johnny Depp. It will end next week. I think they have the closings already penciled in for, I think it's Thursday next week, if I'm not wrong. Anyway, that means that we're kind of seeing the balance of the case here from both sides. The way it plays out, very different sometimes than a criminal case. So Lisa Lockwood is here, Mitra Hurian. Let me get your guys' take on this. As we look back at this case, Lisa, let me start with you. Your favorite two witnesses and why you think they may be most important for one side or the other. Just who stands out to you?
Well, a lot of them do. And I'm going to say favorite witness, I would say his bodyguard, only because he was such a character in the beginning. As far as his credibility, I don't know, because we're talking about somebody who, owes things to Johnny, and also his friend that lives in the penthouse. So, I mean, these two people were the standouts for me. As far as credibility, I would have to say Rocky's husband, Josh, Raquel's husband, his story to me seemed the most authentic, real, and true story. He was there in the midst of everything, in the middle of all of these fights, and got to see Johnny's behavior, as everybody did in their inner circle, from their staff to their, their coaches and nurses and teams, etc. So, I can't call it right now. I honestly can't, because as I said before, we do have mutual combatants. We've got audio, we've got video of Johnny tearing things up like a bull in a china shop. We've got Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde on audio. We also have Amber, who is and has been a gaslighting and a bully, and talking about slapping and punching and the differentiation between the two, and having no accountability. So we still have more witnesses
tough.
to come forward and more to unfold.